Did you know the US military once used its own soldiers as human guinea pigs? For over 20 years, the Army's Edgewood Arsenal ran secret experiments on 7,000 American troops. They were told they'd test defensive equipment, extra pay, extra leave time. Instead, they were given LSD, mustard gas, chemical weapons. The soldiers had no idea what was happening to them. Some broke down completely. Others developed severe health problems that lasted for decades. Military doctors watched, took notes, tracked every psychological breakdown. The subjects were sworn to secrecy, threatened if they talked. For years, these men suffered in silence. Chronic pain, mental illness. No one would believe them. The government denied everything. Then in the 1970s, the truth finally came out. Documents revealed the horrifying scope. Thousands of soldiers had been used as test subjects for chemical warfare. Many never received proper medical care or compensation. Their own military had betrayed them in the worst possible way. The Edgewood Arsenal experiments remain one of the darkest chapters in American military history. While the world watched Nazi war criminals face justice at Nuremberg, America was secretly doing business with them. Operation Paperclip brought over 1,600 Nazi scientists, doctors, and intelligence officers to American soil. Their crimes were erased, their identities cleaned, their pasts buried. Werner von Braun built rockets using slave labor that killed thousands of prisoners. He became NASA's golden boy and put Americans on the moon. Dr. Hubertus Strughold froze prisoners alive in medical experiments. He became the father of space medicine. Chemical weapons experts got jobs at major corporations. Doctors who tortured children received positions at prestigious universities. The justification was simple. We needed them to beat the Soviets. So while their victims' families searched for justice, these war criminals lived comfortable American lives. They got new names, new histories, and new respect. The men who should have stood trial in Nuremberg were instead given the American dream. Operation Paperclip wasn't just about recruiting scientists. It was about deciding that some evil could be forgiven if it served our purposes. Did you know that after completing one of World War II's most secret missions, 900 American sailors were left to die in shark-infested waters? In July 1945, the USS Indianapolis had just delivered components for the atomic bomb. Their mission was classified. Their route was known, but no one told them about the Japanese submarine waiting in their path. 2 torpedoes tore through the ship. It sank in 12 minutes. 900 men found themselves floating in the Pacific Ocean. No lifeboats, no distress signals sent. The sharks came on the second day. Oceanic whitetips, drawn by blood and thrashing bodies. Men watched their friends disappear beneath the surface. Others drank seawater and went insane. They hallucinated rescue ships that weren't there. For 5 days, the Navy didn't even notice they were missing. When survivors were accidentally spotted, only 316 men remained alive. Instead of investigating their own failures, the military court-martialed Captain McVeigh, made him the scapegoat. The decorated war hero couldn't live with the shame. He took his own life 33 years later. Did you know that some of Japan's brightest minds once tried to end the world? March 20th, 1995, Tokyo's morning rush hour. 5 men boarded separate subway trains. Each carried plastic bags filled with liquid death. They punctured the bags and walked away. Within minutes, commuters began collapsing, foaming at the mouth, convulsing on platform floors. 13 people died. Thousands were poisoned. The liquid was sarin gas, a weapon so deadly that a single drop can kill. The attackers belonged to Aum Shinrikyo, a doomsday cult led by a nearly blind guru named Shoko Asahara. His followers weren't uneducated outcasts. They were doctors, scientists, engineers from Japan's top universities. Asahara convinced them that humanity needed to end, and they were chosen to end it. When police raided their compound, they found underground laboratories, enough sarin to kill millions. The cult had tried before, failed biological attacks, attempts to buy nuclear weapons from Russia. How does a madman turn brilliant minds into mass murderers? The Tokyo subway attack remains one of history's most terrifying examples of organized evil. Did you know the FBI's most valuable criminal profiler was a serial killer himself? Edmund Kemper stood 6 feet 9 inches tall. He had an IQ of 145, and he murdered 10 people, including his own mother. But here's the disturbing part. After turning himself in, Kemper became the FBI's secret weapon. Agents would sit across from this articulate giant for hours. He calmly explained how killers think, how they choose victims, how they manipulate people. His insights were so valuable that the FBI still uses his techniques today. When the Atlanta child murders terrorized the nation, investigators called Kemper for advice. From his prison cell, he helped them understand the killer's mind. The irony was chilling. Law enforcement was using one of America's most brutal murderers to catch other murderers, but Kemper knew exactly what he was doing. Every interview was a game to him, a chance to prove his intellectual superiority. Even behind bars, he was still manipulating everyone around him. The monster had become the teacher. Did you know the most horrific medical experiments in history weren't conducted by Nazi doctors? They happened in a secret Japanese facility called Unit 731. From 1937 to 1945, thousands of prisoners disappeared into this compound in occupied China. What happened inside defied human comprehension. Scientists froze prisoners' limbs to test frostbite resistance. They performed surgery without anesthesia while victims were fully conscious. They locked people in pressure chambers until their eyes literally exploded from their skulls. But the horror didn't stop there. Unit 731 released plague-infected fleas over Chinese cities. Entire populations became unwilling test subjects for biological weapons. When Japan surrendered, you'd expect justice. Instead, America made a deal. The US granted complete immunity to these war criminals in exchange for their research data. The same doctors who tortured thousands went on to prestigious careers in universities and hospitals. They were never prosecuted, never punished. Unit 731 proves that sometimes the most disturbing truth isn't what monsters are capable of, it's how easily we forgive them. In 1846, 87 pioneers thought they found a shortcut to California. They were wrong. The Donner Party took an untested route that trapped them in the Sierra Nevada mountains for an entire winter. When food ran out, they ate their leather shoes. Then they boiled bones for soup. But that wasn't the worst part. When rescue teams finally reached them months later, they discovered something horrific. The survivors had been eating the dead for weeks. Neighbors turned against neighbors. Parents made impossible choices about their own children. Some members were suspected of murder just to create more food. The Forlorn Hope expedition drew lots to see who would be killed next. These weren't monsters. They were ordinary families who had completely broken down psychologically. The few who survived carried the trauma for the rest of their lives. Many never spoke about what they did to stay alive. The Donner Party proves that civilization is just a thin layer. Strip it away, and anyone can become something unrecognizable. Did you know one man personally killed more people than entire Nazi concentration camps? Meet Vasily Blokhin, Stalin's most trusted executioner. Standing 6 feet 2 inches tall with massive hands, Blokhin turned mass murder into an art form. He used a German Walter pistol. One shot to the back of the head. Never missed. His most horrific work happened at Katyn Forest. For weeks, Blokhin worked 10-hour shifts executing Polish officers, 300 men per night. He wore a leather apron and cap to avoid bloodstains. He took pride in his efficiency record. 7,000 people died by his hands alone. Stalin rewarded him with the Order of the Red Banner. Blokhin lived comfortably as the regime's perfect killer. The most chilling part, he never showed remorse. He treated mass execution like craftsmanship. After Stalin died, Blokhin was stripped of his rank and forgotten. He died in obscurity, but his personal kill count exceeded the commandants of entire death camps. One man, 7,000 victims, the most prolific executioner in human history. In 1957, police in Wisconsin entered a farmhouse that would haunt America forever. They were looking for a missing store owner. What they found was pure nightmare. Furniture upholstered with human skin, bowls carved from skulls, a vest made from a woman's torso. This was the home of Ed Gein. For years, Gein had been digging up fresh graves, middle-aged women who looked like his dead mother. He brought them home to preserve them. Police found lampshades made of faces, a shoebox filled with human noses, a refrigerator stocked with organs. Gein's obsession with his domineering mother had twisted him into something inhuman. When she died, he couldn't let go. The discoveries were so disturbing that officers vomited at the scene. Hardened investigators couldn't sleep for weeks, but Ed Gein's legacy was just beginning. His crimes inspired Psycho, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs. 70 years later, Hollywood is still retelling his story, because sometimes reality is more terrifying than any fiction.